This webinar is being presented by Josh Irons, who is a SCORE workshop presenter and CEO of River Avenue Digital. I would like to thank you, Josh, for sharing this important information and trust all of our viewers will find it informative and helpful. Next slide. My name is Leslie Swope, and I am a volunteer with SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties. SCORE is a nonprofit organization that has been in existence for over 50 years and is a resource partner of the SBA. SCORE's mission is to foster a strong small business community by providing free mentorship and business education. We are here to support you and help you grow your business. Here in Chester and Delaware counties, we have 100 volunteers ready to help. Our mentoring and most of our educational programs are free. You will find many tools, templates, and other business resources on our website resource library. This Launching Your E-commerce Store the Right Way is a recorded webinar which will be made available to you after today's session. You all have been placed on mute, so we avoid any distractions. Josh will address your questions in the Q&A box during and after today's presentation. Please use the Q&A box for questions. Use the chat if you have a comment or resource to share. So now I would like to turn it over to Josh Irons for our featured webinar. Josh?
Hello, everybody. How are you? I will give myself an introduction shortly, but I want this to be very conversational. So please don't hesitate to ask questions, slow me down, speed me up. We're going to do this together, and hopefully we can get some really good information out of it for you. Also, I'll be available after for specific questions that you may not want to ask in front of the group. So feel free to hold them, feel free to ask them. I'm here to help you launch your e-commerce platform the right way. So the agenda for today, we're going to do an introduction, a little bit of history of SCORE and my history with SCORE, why e-commerce, and then we'll learn about some of the specific things that are important to you as you get going. So the introduction. So I am Josh Irons. I am the CEO of River Avenue Digital. We are a full service marketing agency that leads with storytelling. We're located in Prospect Park in Delaware County, not too far from the airport. I started this business about 4.5 years ago. And the purpose of me starting this business was so I didn't have to travel for other people's businesses. So I planted my flag in the ground in the Philadelphia area, and I grew a business that now helps, that's helped hundreds of businesses not only get online, but tell their story online. So why e-commerce? No secret, e-commerce was making moves prior to the pandemic. Once the pandemic came, I don't know if your house is like my house, but there are 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes per day sitting on the front steps. Sometimes embarrassing when we take out the garbage on garbage day, because all it is cardboard boxes with this word Amazon on it. Or we work with other smaller distributors to make sure that everything is in our house that doesn't need to be. So it all starts with business planning, and getting online is one thing, but making sure that you have a good business plan, your idea is viable, you have a budget, you make sure that you give yourself the best chance of success. And then you figure out how e-commerce fits into that plan. Do you have brick and mortar and e-commerce, or is it just e-commerce? Figure out who your customers are. That's a big challenge that a lot of people don't focus enough time on. Who's going to be buying from you, and where are they online? What are they looking at? What's your revenue model? How are you generating revenue? And how are you keeping track of that? A lot of people have a problem when it comes to keeping track of the revenue that they're generating online. How are you going to run your e-commerce website? We'll get into that. And what do you sell? And have you done your competitive research? Are there other people doing what you're doing? Are they successful? Where are the holes that you can fill the gaps in? So it all becomes part of the business planning process. And I'd say that there's a lot of different ways to approach online business. These examples here, there are 3 different online watch retailers, and all of them take different approaches to selling watches online. The target demographic is the same for each of these, and we work with all 3. So we know that between 40 to 55, that they do not have the budget for a Rolex or a watch in that category, but they do like style, they do like comfort, they do want a watch that's reliable, and they're fashion focused too. So these are 3 websites that will focus on kind of the middle market of watches, and you can check these out, see what's going on with them. But Watch, Gauge, and Long Island Watch, 2 competitors that are doing some really fine work. We'll take it to business planning and write down your thoughts. Figure out who your competitors are and what they're doing. Sometimes there's a lot of competitors in the industry, and that's because there's a lot of room for growth. And then there's industries where you say, oh, I'm deciding to do an e-commerce shop. I'm the only one doing this. You could be the only one doing it because you came up with a brilliant idea and no one has thought of it yet or hasn't entered the market yet. Or it could be a bad idea that 5, 6, 7, 20 people have tried and failed at. So you want to find out if that's the case too. So going out there and seeing who's doing what they're selling, what their price points are, is going to be super helpful as you put your plan together. Score, a little commercial for Score. Score can help you with business planning. When I was starting River Avenue Digital, I went to a Delaware County Chamber of Commerce meeting. At the Chamber of Commerce meeting, I heard about Score and the free resources associated with it. And I said, oh, free resources? At this point of me growing this business, I'll take it. I was paired with a couple of gentlemen who were retired CEOs. They gave me insight, which was super valuable. And I'd say that it really helped me create the foundation. And it also helped me not create my business within a vacuum. I had outside people who didn't have a vested stake like I did, helping me make decisions. And it was one of the best things that I've done. So do you have an e-commerce store? Let's see kind of a little quiz that we have here. I want to see who already has one and who doesn't, and that'll help us kind of formulate some of the commentary that I'll be making. All right, almost everybody answered. All right, so 2 people have a commerce store. 10 of you do not have an e-commerce store right now. So we'll kind of go in the 101 class category here. And the 2 of you that do have an e-commerce store, feel free to ask questions along the way. And if there are questions, I will stop and answer them as I see them come in. So I want to make sure everybody has a good experience on this call. So thank you for answering that question. All right. So let's learn. So where do you start when you're creating an e-commerce store? Then here's a list of items that you really want to make note of. What is the domain name that you're going to use for your business? Domain name, for you that don't know, is something like this: riveravdigital.com. That's our domain name. The name of your business. You have to think about branding. You have to think about what's going to resonate with your target audience. What are the logistics? Where are you going to store your product? How are you going to ship your product? How are you going to order new product when you run out? what platform are you going to use? And I'll go into some examples of the more popular ones. Where are you going to host your website? What does the architecture and design of your website look like? So what that means is, how easy is it to navigate, and how easy is it for somebody to find what they're looking for? And then marketing. You can build it, but will they come? Not if you don't let them know about it. So how do you choose a domain name? You want it to be brandable, you want it to be short, and you want it to be unique. People need to remember this, and people need to really understand how to get to your store. So think about websites that you guys go to on a regular basis. Most of them have shorter domain names, memorable domain names, and it becomes part of your vernacular. So just keep that in mind as you're choosing them. When we buy domain names for our clients, we do it through Google. So Google has a tool which you can go in and search to see if domain names are taken. And then I believe you can buy them at $12 per year for a standard domain name. And then Google also lets you purchase email associated with your domain name, so that you should be all set at one-stop shop with Google. Name of your business. What would you want to name your business? Do you want to name it something that is representative of what you're selling? Or do you want to make it something that's memorable? There's no right or wrong answer here, but once you pick a name, stick with it, match it to your domain, and then run with it and make sure it's everywhere. On the logistics side of things, I mentioned a bunch of this, but there's always something that you're not thinking of when it comes to how you're getting your product and how you're getting your product into your customers' hands. So inventory, storage, shipping, drop shipping, which means that somebody can place an order on your site and somebody will send it out on your behalf. Self-shipping, self-explanatory, you're shipping it yourself. Payment gateways, you need to think about how you're collecting money and what type of credit cards and the fees associated with it, because that'll add up pretty quickly. Delivery services, is it going to be FedEx? Is it going to be USPS? Is it going to be UPS? Postage and inventory, you need to think about. How much are you going to charge for postage? Is it going to be free postage as a hook to get people to buy stuff? So lots of different things to think about here. You're going to need a return and refund policy, which is a real pain in the butt, but sometimes things aren't going to go according to plan and somebody's going to say, yep, I don't want that, or it wasn't what I thought it was, and you have to deal with those as they come back. And then packaging. There's a lot of opportunities with packaging. Some people just throw things in a box and ship it to you. Other people create a personalized note, put wrapping paper around something. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go to really help your brand. So let's talk about some of the platforms. There are an unlimited amount of directions you can go here. However, these 5 platforms are the ones that most people use because they're pre-built. A lot of these companies, their only job is to make sure that you sell stuff online, and they are innovative and they do a good job with it. So Wix, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Squarespace, and Shopify are the main group that people use when they say they're going to build an online store. And again, these platforms have a lot of back-end capabilities that you would have to build on your own. So there's the old business school question: am I going to build this or am I going to buy it? Building is expensive and costly going forward. I always suggest buying it or using one of these platforms, as it makes things a lot easier for you as you move your store forward. So this kind of answers some of those questions, but buying is cost effective. There's power and customization, which all these platforms allow you to really customize things so you don't look like any of your competitors. There's innovative tools, and they're constantly innovating to make sure that they're the best platform out there. So that all this competition between those 5 platforms benefits us. Built-in marketing solutions. And what I mean by that is there's things built in. So if somebody leaves something in their shopping cart, a lot of these platforms have mechanisms built in that will remind people, hey, there's something in your cart you forgot to check out. Logistics management, they help with that. And then there's a group of people out there that are experts on these platforms that you can go to for help. So if you build your own and something happens to the developer who builds it, you're gonna have to find somebody else to figure out what they did. We put together a little chart of everything related to these, and we rated each individual asset. And you guys will get this PowerPoint presentation, and you can see that you'll be able to look at these and see what's good and what's not. Just kind of going down the list, we had looked at ease of use, we looked at cost, and the costs, they're not that much. So I mean, you can run a Shopify site for less than $100 per month, a Wix site for $20 a month. So I mean, there's all sorts of options here. There's template flexibility in all of these, so you can really create your own look and feel. SEO stands for search engine optimization. You want people to be able to go to Google, put in a search for your product type, and have you come up on the first page. A lot of these platforms support that, some better than others. Product variants, you want as much flexibility as you can have with the variants, so that if you have a watch, you can sell it with 4 different band colors, and make that happen easily on your site. Payment options, some of them have built-in payment options. Others, you have to plug other payment options in, but overall it's pretty easy. Shipping settings, the way you can set this up is that you can have flexibility on how things are shipped or when they're shipped. So again, a lot of these platforms help out with that. Tax settings, you can automate that. So depending if you're selling international, if you're selling domestic, platforms help with that. Email marketing capabilities, you want to be able to send people reminders, you want to be able to send people coupons. Many of these platforms have that built in. And can you find help? Yeah, there's always somebody that's a agency or a freelancer that's out there ready to help at a moment's notice if you do run into any problems. And some of these have really good service desks where you can just reach out. So this is kind of the back end of Shopify, which is the platform that we always recommend to our clients to go with first. So this shows you on a regular basis what people are buying, how they're buying, if they paid, if they had a refund. So they give you dashboards which help you kind of really manage your business and your inventory, so you don't have to worry about it. You can even get insight into individuals who have been to the site, how many times they've been to the site, if they've ordered in the past, where they live, how much they've spent with you, if they're a risk for fraud. So the insights you can gather through all these dashboards is actionable and will help you make decisions in the future. Just to kind of point out some things here. This person ordered a watch, and this was the first time they ordered a watch. And however, they've been window shopping. So they've been to the site 19 times over 12 days. So it's just interesting to see the kind of buying cycle and the mindset of a certain consumer. So most of the platforms I just shared with you have built-in hosting. So that's something you don't have to worry about. WooCommerce is a little bit different, where it resides on on a whole nother platform, and it's a WordPress platform. And you have to think about where you're going to host those types of sites. So that's the outlier here. So when you're looking at hosting, you're looking for reliability, availability, price, security is a #1 concern because you don't want anybody messing with your site, especially if you're running commerce through it and there's credit card numbers potentially being stored there. You want customer service. If the site goes down, you want to be able to chat with somebody live and have it go back up. Are they creating backups on a regular basis for you if something catastrophic does happen? And is it scalable? If your product catalog grows to the thousands, you just want to make sure that they can grow with you. Let me take a quick break here and see if anybody has any questions that they are thinking about, and I could jump right into those.
As a reminder, if you have any questions, just put them in the Q&A. Right now, there are no questions.
Okay, let's keep on moving. So architecture and design. This is not a good design or architecture of a website. So what am I looking for here? I have no idea, and I have no idea where to find it. You want to make sure that the user experience is stellar and people can come to your website and find exactly what they're looking for. Here's a good example of a few different things. I know I'm going to the site, short URL, memorable. They sell 2 main things, shoes and bags, and they also sell extra things which you can look at. But there's 3 choices here, and it's easy to find once you get in here. And then if you look down here, you can see there's anything that's new, and you can get right to that information. So easy peasy. These guys thought it through. And the other piece of it that's interesting too is that Google looks at this type of stuff when they're looking at search engine optimization. And if you're providing a good user experience and on mobile and on desktop, Google will reward you by moving you up ahead of your competition who's not doing the same. All right, a little bit into marketing, but let's take a little quiz first. Go ahead and put your answer in here. What is the right sequence of stages in the marketing funnel? All right, we got a bunch of answers here. The correct answer is not B. A and C are very similar, and the right answer is C. We need to make people aware that we are selling something. They'll have interest, they'll consider, then they'll have some intent, they'll evaluate our offering, and then they'll make a purchase. So lots of good information out there about the stages of marketing, and you need to be aware of all of those. So here it is again in just a little bit more detail, and this also shows some of the things that go into each of these buckets in the funnel. And we do call it a marketing funnel because it starts off really, really general and then gets really specific until somebody makes their purchase. And we can help them along the way with different marketing tactics, which start with advertising, email marketing, offers, free trials, coupons, discounts, product demos, and then just making sure that people follow up and make the purchase. So a myth that I mentioned before, if you build it, they will come. They will not come because they will not know that you exist, and you have to get your message out there. But before you get your message out there, you have to build your message, and you have to really tell your story and what makes you unique. Going back to the watch examples, we have several clients that are in that industry and several clients that create individual brands of watches. The watch brands that are able to tell a story and make people feel and make people interested in what they're doing, those are very important. And those are the ones that get sales. Ones that don't have a story and just rely on the product, they don't do as well. So in some cases, you can just rely on the product, but in most cases, you really need to tell a good story to get people interested and to get their emotions going and to get them to feel something, and then they'll become loyal to your brand. The 5 P's of marketing: product, price, people, promotion, and place. So the place is important, where we're going to have our products. The people, who is going to buy our products and where on the internet are they, so that we can help direct them to our products. Promotion, are we advertising? Are we sending emails? Is our price point right? Are we overpriced? Are we underpriced? Can we sell what we're selling for more money? And then the product itself, is it the right product for the market? We have a question, so I'll stop and answer that. Would you suggest markets or events to help getting your product out there? Bad answer, but it depends on what the product is. If you're selling candles, let's say, if you're making candles and you want to get it in front of an audience, that is a good way to do it. But also think about scalability. If you're going to pay $100 to have a table at an event, and you're going to sell some candles there, how are you going to drive people online? It gets the name out there, it gets the brand out there, but there's a whole world of people who can buy your candles. How do you best get in front of the larger audience? The marketing, overall marketing, so ads can be on Google, they could be on Facebook, they could be on TikTok, they could be on Instagram. Again, you really need to know where your audience is. And once you figure that out, it becomes a little bit easier to target them. You don't want to cast a wide net. You want to you want to go spearfishing, and you want to go after your exact target market, because otherwise you'll be spending money just to spend money. You want to spend money on the individuals who are likely to buy your product. Social media, organic social media, get yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put videos out on social media. Don't be afraid to put posts out on social media. Once you do that, you're starting to really get your name out there, and ask your friends to help you. Ask your friends to share your information. That's the best way to start out. You want social credibility. If I see you at a fair and you're selling candles and I get your card, first thing I'm going to do is check out your website. I'm going to check out your social. I'm going to see how many people gave you reviews, and I'm going to make a judgment on that. If there's no reviews, or it's like you don't even exist because you have no online presence, I'll be concerned and say, okay, is this for real? I don't want to be the first one to get scammed by them. So just make sure that you have a good foundation there. And email marketing. When you are out and about, collect email addresses on your website, on your e-commerce website, collect email addresses. When people are buying from you, collect email addresses and reach out. Provide coupons, deals, incentives. Help tell your story through email. That's all very, very important. Here's a piece that no one wants to hear about, but is important, and it's the legal aspect of selling online. Don't forget about taxes. I've seen people get burned that way, where they're collecting money and then the government comes knocking on the door and says, yep, we know you've been making money online. Let's pay up. So talk to an accountant about that. Make sure that your terms and conditions on your website protect you. There's a lot of content out there on the web about this. If you have a friend that's a lawyer, ask them about it, but it's important to have something on your website that protects you in case something out of the ordinary does happen. Make sure your refund policy is put together so that you just have a plan, you have a process. A lot of websites have privacy policies, and that talks about the different information you're collecting, what you're going to do with that information. So you really want to make sure that that's a part of what you're thinking about. Shipping, returns, and payment gateway, all part of legal aspects that you just want to make sure that you're thinking through. There's laws out there that have to do with collecting and keeping people's information. You don't want to email somebody who has asked not to be emailed. You can get fined for that. Again, you just want to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that you're abiding by the law and not doing anything that other people may consider nefarious. Sometimes it may seem like, oh, let me just reach out to these people because I have their email addresses, but they need to give you intent that they want to receive information from you. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
There's a
Oh, let me
question.
stop for a question. A question is, speaking of taxes, could you generally comment on whether it may be worth considering incorporating the company out of state in Wyoming, Nevada, other states that may have favorable sales taxes, and whether or not that'd be a factor if our e-commerce store offerings are all digital in nature? Good question. I would talk to an accountant or a tax attorney about that. Every state's a little bit different. And you just want to make sure that you know what's going on in those states, if the law could be changing, because you may make a decision today that may not be the best decision in 4 months. Most of our clients just keep it simple and incorporate in Delaware or in Pennsylvania, but the government wants their piece, so they're going to find a way to come after you and get that sales tax. So keep it. I would ask an expert about that. Another question: given we get traffic from people living in all states, must we have California special treatment or data on our website? Not necessarily. However, you want to be aware of these laws. So the one I have up on the screen now, in the EU, there's something called GDPR. And if you collect an email address from somebody in the EU and they come back and receive something that they didn't want to receive, it could be an issue. The chances of something happening are somewhat slim, but you don't want to be the individual who they make an example of. So you just need to have your ducks in a row when it comes to all of this. Do you suggest we get an LLC? Again, that is somewhat related to how you're going to deal with taxes. You probably do want to incorporate your business one way or the other. However, whether it's a LLC or a C Corp or S Corp, again, that would be a business decision that I wouldn't be able to advise on. Good questions. Thank you all. The heartbeat of your website is going to be captured on Google Analytics. This is information that is super valuable to you, and you want to make sure that your e-commerce website is set up with Google Analytics. What you can see here, and this is just an example from a client that we pulled, is that over the last 7 days, this website had 3,200 users, which was an increase of 2% from the previous 7-day period. So you want to see constant increases. You want to monitor to see if anything dramatic happens. And you also want to kind of understand where your visitors are coming from. So you can see here, this is a pretty worldwide audience, but we were just pulling reports for another client who is really, really localized. And we can see that most of their traffic came from Mediaborough in Pennsylvania. So there's valuable data in here, and you could spend hours looking through it, but there's a few things that you really want to measure, and that is how many people are buying on your site, how many people are coming and leaving, how many people are leaving things in their cart, and where traffic is coming from. Is it coming from social media? Is it coming from paid advertising? Is it coming from search engine optimization? So organic traffic, people finding you. How can you learn more about Google Analytics is another question we see. It seems overwhelming. It can be very, very overwhelming. However, there's probably a good 5 or 6 things that you just want to kind of focus on and look at. Google does have good training sessions that are free on Google Analytics that you can find online, good videos, and it gives you just a good overview of the things you need to look at when it comes to e-commerce. So some of the frequently asked questions we get are, what is the best platform for my product? And we always start with Shopify. However, if somebody does have a preference, all these platforms are good in one way or another. So as long as you use a platform, you're probably making a good choice. I would recommend not building something from scratch. Where do I start? Definitely start with your business plan. What key performance indicators should I be monitoring? Obviously sales, but you also want to really understand why people are not buying from you. If you are getting 1,000 people to your website a week and only 2% buy, imagine what could happen if 3% buy and then 4%. So understanding more about why people aren't buying is just as important as why people are buying. Other KPIs you want to see is traffic over time. Are your ads working? If you're spending $50 a week on ads, are you making back $200 during that time from those ads? So is there a return on your investment? All things are important that you need to consider. Are there hidden costs I'll find as I set up my e-commerce site? Not if you do all your homework in the front end, and just make sure that you kind of go down the list and have things in place that you need. Hidden costs that is the worst hidden cost you'll find is that if the tax man comes knocking later on and you aren't prepared for that. But mostly these platforms do offer flat fees when it comes to hidden costs. The other hidden costs that people get surprised about too is credit card processing fees. You're going to accept credit cards online, and then the credit card companies are going to take their piece of the action. So just be prepared for that and maybe adjust your pricing accordingly. All right, let's stop again for some Q&A. See if anybody else has some questions.
Any questions?
All right, this short link here has a checklist of 40 things that you should look for when you're building your site, and you can download it. It's yours to keep. Just as a thank you for attending this session. But it's useful, helpful, and it gets you on the right track to start off.
There is a question.
Yep, I see a question. Thanks, Susan. Can you use Venmo or PayPal only? You can use PayPal only. I believe you can use Venmo. So it's flexible on what you accept. I tend to tell my clients to accept more than one type of payment option, just to give people options. People like to say, okay, I can pay with Amazon. I can pay through PayPal. I could pay through just putting my credit card in. So there's a lot of different options there. And let's keep in touch. Here's my contact information. That is my cell phone, my email address, and my company's website. And also make sure you follow us on social media, as we often give out tips throughout the week on things that may be relevant to you as you're thinking about marketing your e-commerce site or developing your e-commerce site.
Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. And thank you, Josh, for all that great information. As I mentioned earlier, you will receive the recorded webinar following this webinar. SCORE is here to help you with the next steps with launching your e-commerce store the right way. Please reach out to your SCORE mentor for support. You are not alone in this process. If you aren't already working with the SCORE mentor, you can request one by going to our website link shown here or calling the phone number and speaking with Catherine Weisenberger. She is our office administrator. This information will also be included in the follow-up email from SCORE. Here is our contact information with any questions. If you could just, we have one brief poll, just which helps us plan our programs. If you can take a few minutes and answer these questions, it just helps us for future training. All right, great. Please contact SCORE with any questions you might have. That's all that we have today. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. And thank you again, Josh, for all that valuable information. And I hope everyone has a great day. Oh, there's one question here.
Oh, I saw that come in. Regarding Shopify, there are a lot of add-on options for stores. Is there specific add-ons you can recommend for inventory and marketing? Why don't you reach out to me separately on that, because a lot of it will depend on what you're selling and your business overall.
Okay, great. If there are no further questions, that's a wrap for us. Have a great day, everyone. Oh, what about Etsy?
That's its own separate platform. So selling on that is fairly easy to set up and to move forward on. So they kind of manage the entire process and take their piece of the action as well.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thanks again, Josh.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.